You're listening to Something Cheeky, a collection of podcasts where two sisters discuss TV, books, and movies with just enough irreverence and far too many pop culture references. Welcome to Something Cheeky, the Gentleman Bastards edition, where we discuss The Lies of Locke Lamora, book 1 of the series by Scott Lynch. I'm Nikki.
I'm Rosanna.
While I've read the entire series, Rosanna has only read up to what we're covering today, which is Chapter 4, At the Court of Capa Barsavi. In this chapter, Locke gets a marriage proposal from the most powerful man in Camorr. Rosanna, what was your reaction to this chapter?
Well, I'm going to be really honest, Nikki. This was not my favorite chapter.
Okay.
It mostly just left me feeling icky.
Yeah, I was really glad I hadn't eaten before I read it.
Yeah, there was a lot of yucky descriptions, and also it just felt really seedy.
Ah, yeah.
You know, and I was really surprised by Capa Barsavi's, extreme paranoia.
Oh, yeah. I lost a lot of respect from him between last chapter and this chapter.
Yeah, he seemed really confident before, and when you get to this part, he's kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was sort of like, I like it better when we're dressing up and breaking into people's houses.
When it's not so scary.
Yeah.
And you don't have horrible, disgusting torture scenes.
Yeah. Ugh, terrible.
Yeah, that was pretty gross.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite quote from this chapter?
My favorite quote is when Barsavi's talking to Locke, and he says, "And so I give you permission to court my daughter." And the reason that I picked that one is because as soon as I read it, I was like, oh, crap. This is totally going to mess up the plan. It's just really throwing a wrench in the deal. So yeah, I feel like this is definitely a turning point. The story is going to have to change. Locke is going to have to change. The plan's going to have to change. And I think it's going to get messy.
Are you worried about their whole endeavor?
Yes, I am. Yeah. I thought it was complicated before.
Yeah.
This is going to make it much harder.
And especially since Locke wants to continue with the plan and not just cut and run and get out of there where it's safe.
Yeah, he's super confident.
Do you think he's too confident, or do you trust him?
I think he's too confident.
Oh, really?
But, as we've talked about before, I am a safety first person. I'm worried about him being too cocky. Because we know that he's really smart. We know he's got a really good crew. But I think when you start throwing this kind of stuff in, there are going to be things that he cannot predict. He's not going to be able to plan around. Also, I think if he does start, this courting, more people are going to be watching him than were before. And that's going to make his tricks harder.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about while reading this chapter was, what happens if other right people recognize him in costume around town?
Yeah.
They never really talk about avoiding that.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's just so unrecognizable because of his disguises. If he can appear in front of the same person.
Right. The same day,
in different disguises. But yeah, I wonder about that. Because, they're just supposed to be, second-story men? Basically windows.
Yeah.
And so, performing cons, wearing disguises in the street, is not part of what the Kappa knows about them. Or anyone.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm worried about him.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the action.
Okay.
So, it starts out with Bug counting 20,000 Tyrans, which is equivalent to 5,000 crowns. And Locke comes in with 7,500 more that they've gotten from the Dawn. Were you disappointed we didn't get to see that first meeting? I know you wanted to.
I really did. I really wanted to see the Dawn's interaction, knowing. Well, thinking he knew, I guess, is better. Yeah, I really would have liked to have seen that.
Well, he seems to be going with the program, so that's
I guess so.
Good for everyone, except him, of course.
Well, yeah. I feel bad for him.
It talks about the vaults that I was really interested in that they have in the burrow. Has a couple of 10-foot deep shafts, which are just holes they fill with coins.
Yeah. So they're talking about this. I'm just like, okay, I mean, I know that they need money for their stuff, but then they come around and get to the point where they're like, we're just stealing money to steal it. We don't even have a plan after what to do with it.
Yeah, they want to be clever and richer than everyone else, but
then what? They have no,
they don't have a next
end
step.
goal.
I feel like they should be buying property in stocks or something.
Yeah, something.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it seems to me that if you're somebody that's every year making this much money and you're going to a lot of trouble to get it, there's a goal. And they have no goal.
Mm-hmm.
They're just stealing to steal.
Yeah, I guess retirement eventually.
Maybe so.
You can't run cons when you're 80.
But I don't think that they're thinking even close to that far ahead.
Mm-hmm. I would love to see an elderly Locke running cons in different rest homes.
Well, he's just going to be sitting out on the steps, shaking his cup for money,
oh,
just
that's right.
like Father Chains did.
With his own little crew.
Stab his eyes out and
youngins.
Hook himself up to chains and, start the next generation.
Father Chains reincarnated.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that only about 1 crown a week is going to Capa.
Yeah.
Which is a drop in the bucket in what they're bringing in. It's nothing.
And they're supposed to, take the stuff that they steal to the
the fence,
the pawn shop, and they just dig it out of a chest in their own house.
Yeah. The bullshit box. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that they buy the things they're supposed to be stealing just because it's not worth the time to actually steal it.
I know, they said that and I couldn't believe it. I was like, seriously, you guys are really good at stealing stuff. You couldn't just go lift it real quick. They're like, it's not even worth our time.
Yeah.
We're just going to pay for it.
Why risk getting caught?
I guess.
Just buy it at a flea market.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They get on the gondola with nervous Vitaly. Mm-hmm. And first of all, I love his name. But I love that everyone gets funny names.
Yeah.
Also, he's not just a gondola pullman. He's a thief also.
Right.
Basically, look out for unguarded barges and things like that.
Right.
At this point in the book, I feel like there are more thieves than regular citizens in Camorr.
Yeah.
They're
everywhere.
I'm sure because we're just following Locke and everybody.
And that's who they interact with, I guess, yeah.
I feel like there are hardly any normal people here at all. It's just layers and layers of crime happening.
Well, and also, I think they're stealing from each other even, in some cases.
Probably.
It's like, just keep what you have would be so much easier than to steal it from somebody and then have it stolen from you. It seems like a lot of trouble.
Oh, also, Vitaly did different hand signals. And I'm wondering, are the hand signals the same as everyone else's hand signals? Do different gangs have their own set of hand signals?
I would guess that they make up their own.
I wonder. Or if there's a mix.
Yeah, they wouldn't want to give away in case somebody else was watching, I guess.
We get the little tidbit also on the gondola that Jean is reading a little book of poetry.
Oh, I love Jean. I'm just so on board with him. I'm really excited about his character.
They passed Shades Hill at one point. I really wanted a reaction from Locke and the twins, but nothing.
Nothing.
It's just even just a shudder or a grimace or...
I guess they're just too good for that.
Yeah, or a middle finger at the
middle finger would have been good. Every time we pass Shades Hill, everybody flip them off.
Instead of holding your breath, passing the cemetery.
Curse them.
Man. Yeah, the Ashfall Island that gets all the coal smoke. It sounded like the perfect setting for some sort of zombie outbreak. Has all these squatters and and people that are not doing very well.
Yes, where it would start, and then it would just sort of creep out into the rest of the area.
And it's just so dirty.
Yeah, I could see that.
We also get a little bit of, a little more background on the boys, about where they came from. So it says, Locke had come out of Catchfire, Jean from the comfortable north corner, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Cal and Galdo had been Dreg's boys prior to their stay in Shades Hill. Only Bug had come out of the cauldron, and he had never once spoken of it, not in the 4 years he'd been a gentleman bastard.
Yeah, and so they make it sound like that place is even worse than Shades Hill. Which, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. That's awful. No wonder he tried to get out so early. That's terrible.
Also that he's traumatized by it because he wouldn't even speak about it.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what kinds of horrible things happened to him.
Yeah, well, he jokes a lot too, just like everyone else. And the fact that he doesn't even joke about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's that bad.
Yeah. I wasn't too surprised hearing, though, that Gene came from a comfortable place.
Why's that?
Because he just seems like... I mean, he reads.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I mean, and it's not that the other guys can't read, but... I mean, I'm sure they can, but that definitely was not ever a priority, I'm sure. And Gene reads for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that really says something about not people in general and people right now. I'm not saying that. But, like, in this specific environment, somebody reading for fun must have come from maybe not wealthy, but a comfortable place. You know, he went to school, I'm sure. Yeah, I wasn't surprised about that.
When you're focused on survival as a child.
Right, you're not reading poetry. Yeah. But I would like to know why he's not there anymore.
Ah.
Why he left his comfortable area. So...
Do you think he's not an orphan like everyone else?
I don't think he is.
Okay.
Or if he is, it was much later in life than the rest of them.
Okay.
You know, maybe orphaned as a teen or something. And maybe he went to stealing because when he was orphaned, you know, he lost the money that was there.
Oh.
Something like that. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that came later, if he is an orphan at all.
You imagining he goes home on the weekends to his comfortable family?
No, I'm not imagining that. I'm imagining that he's probably the black sheep of his family.
Ah.
But you never know, without getting a really good background, what caused a rift, if that's what had happened. Maybe he got kicked out of his house, of his comfortable house, and had to fend for himself. Maybe he's gay. I don't know. I mean, it could be a bunch of things. You know, parents, some parents are bad people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to get some more history on him for sure.
That does sound like something that would be good to have.
Yeah.
So they arrive at the wooden waste. I love the mental image this gives me. Just all these different ships bobbing around. First of all, where did they come from and why are they on one place?
Yeah.
Someone just kind of pushed these wrecks into this little area?
I think that's probably exactly what happened. Just to get them out of the way.
Mm-hmm. And some people are even living on them.
Yeah.
As squatters, that seems unsafe, I'd say. I'd be afraid. Yeah. Well, because there are obviously things in the water. Sharks and whatnot.
These boats are not in good repair.
Right.
So living in them is probably dangerous for a few reasons.
Mm-hmm. And it is the first time we find that Locke might be in danger as a Garista.
Yeah.
Because Tall Tessa was killed.
Yes.
Are you worried about Locke?
Always now.
Oh.
I am.
Yeah, there are a couple big changes here.
Yeah.
With the proposal.
I think that Locke needs to start being more careful.
Ah.
I can see people coming after him, like the Grey King, whoever that is, if they figure out, or if they already know somehow, that he and the whole group of the Gentlemen Bastards are much more than what they appear on the surface.
Mm.
If anybody else is paying any attention and they can see that's what's happening, or if anybody pins him as, what's his name? The something of Camorr?
Thorn.
The Thorn of Camorr. If anybody realizes that that's who that is, I would be very worried for him.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if anybody realizes that that's who he is, they would be stupid to kill him. He's obviously really smart. It would make a lot more sense for them to use him, if possible. True. So, I don't know which way this is going, but I'm worried about him.
Let's talk about the Grey King for a second.
Okay.
Who also seems like they have more going on than people realize, or at least they realized at first. Mm-hmm. They are somehow making people not remember anything that happened when they kill someone.
Yeah, what is going on there?
I'm not sure that many men would go to their death as they did. The men that were being tortured in the floating grave would go to their death not admitting what actually happened. When there's no benefit to them that we know of, to stay quiet about it.
Yeah, that's true. It's a weird... It's lots of questions. Definitely more questions than answers.
Well, it seemed to have escalated very quickly. We heard in, I think, just the last chapter about the Grey King, just a tiny little mention that they'd probably be defeated soon by the Kappa.
Right.
And now suddenly...
we see that is not accurate.
Yeah. And it hasn't been very long.
Yeah.
So I loved the description of Nazca when we meet her again as a woman.
Uh-huh.
She sounds like a hipster pirate. She's in this big bellowing shirt, and she has black glasses on, black framed glasses. Mm-hmm. And she still has her iron-tipped boots. Mm-hmm. Of course, because she's always armed.
Right.
Even now, this many years later. And then we get to the pawn shop.
Oh, yeah.
Which was such a little, short mention, but I loved the negotiation part. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Just the back and forth, and they were just insulting each other so much.
Yeah, and you know that Locke is standing there going, I don't care how much you give me for it. Mm-hmm. I mean, he just doesn't care, but he has to put on the show.
Yeah, and it just went straight in the bag to give to the Capa. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a fun part.
Yeah.
And the man is so stingy. All I was thinking when I was reading that was location, location, location. The guy's terrible. He doesn't give you much money, but he's in just the right spot.
But everybody's going to go there because that's where he's at. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
He sounds awful. Just horrible to deal with. He must be very unhappy in his life. He's just, he's not good. He was another one of the things in the chapter that I was just like,
Yeah, there are a lot of grimy people.
Yes.
Actually, I'll say grimy men. None of the women have been grimy that we've met.
That is also very good point.
Yeah.
They're all men that are gross. It's just so seedy, this whole area. Mm-hmm. And I think that women, probably not a lot of women there because they'd be scared to go there. Mm-hmm. Even thieves, even women as thieves. That would be a very scary place to go.
Yeah, so we've got Nazca and the identical twins that were missing from the shark fighting experience. They're very large, very muscular women.
And not pregnant.
No, not at all.
which was my guess.
They're not having the Sansa twins babies.
No, they're not having anybody's babies. And they're older than I expected them to be, I guess.
Ah.
Yeah.
They're very intimidating.
Yes.
We hardly saw them, but man.
I wouldn't want to piss them off.
Yeah. But now we know why they've been gone, because they've been with the Capa as his bodyguard, and he hasn't left in 2 months.
Yeah.
We also meet Sage Kindness.
I can't even with that name. I can't.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
Yep.
I pretty much just skimmed over that part.
Well, it's going to come back up later, I'll tell you that.
Oh, God. Just like my food, if we talk about this again. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
The men that are being tortured, did you believe them that they didn't know what was happening, or did you just think that there was a really good reason for them not to tell anything?
I believed him.
Really?
Yeah. That's pretty serious torture.
So what do you think happened? Why can't they remember?
I don't know. I feel very secure in the knowledge that they didn't know, but I also have no idea why not.
Yeah, they went through a few things. Nothing was put in their food, and they hadn't been smoking anything. They hadn't been on gaze.
All I can guess is that the Grey King has something else that people don't know about. If he's got one of the, what do they call him? You're going to have to take this part out because I'm just like, pause. Maybe he's got one of those people like the Don's wife.
Oh, an alchemist?
Yes, an alchemist. Maybe he's got an alchemist on, his payroll who's come up with something that people don't know about, that, is tasteless and has no smell and just like iocane powder. Yeah, I don't think that'd be a stretch because the Grey King is being very successful in this sort of plan. So I think there's a good chance that he's come up with something somehow that takes care of that part. Which is kind of sad for the people that are getting tortured and killed for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thrown literally to the sharks.
Yes, yeah.
Or some mysterious creature, whatever creature of the week is underneath the ship.
Oh, that part too. Good grief. We're just going to trap some scary animal and then next week we'll pick a different one and just throw people in. It's horrible. And after he had already been in the water for a little while and Locke was talking to the Capa, it said something about like thrashing and ineffective pounding on the door. Ugh. It's very graphic.
I want to talk about the Grey King a little more.
Okay.
The name, the Grey King. Mm-hmm. I always find it very interesting, especially in, like, comic book thing, like TV shows about comic books and movies, because I don't actually read comic books.
Right.
Graphic novels, of course.
Of course.
My only exposure to them is basically through TV and movies made about them.
Yeah.
I always am interested when no one has actually met or remembers the villain, like the Grey King. How did he get that name? How do they not know it's a big group of people? How do they know it's one person? Why is he the Grey King? That seems specific. No one remembers him. So, why is he called that? Is it because he's grey like a shadow? I don't know. The shadow knows.
I'm gonna guess that is a self-given name.
Ah.
And I'm also gonna guess that what people know is what he wants them to know. And so even if he somehow figured out a way to wipe memories or whatever, he's probably got people that he sends out to whisper to just put out the information that he wants out.
So he's Varys?
Yes. Which, I didn't like him until you said that, and now I'm kind of like, oh, maybe he's okay.
I guess he'd be more like Littlefinger, really.
Oh, I hate Littlefinger.
I know, they're so alike in their actions, but I love one and hate the other.
I hate Littlefinger.
But I love Varys. Varys is so wonderful.
Yes, I like Varys a lot. Littlefinger, he just Moondor all day. I hate that guy. And if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about that's listening, it's a Game of Thrones reference, which you should be watching or reading because the show is good and the book is great.
Yeah, and the characters are slightly different in both.
And now that I'm picturing Littlefinger, he is going to be the Grey King in my imagination. So there you go.
Man, that'd be fun if we had to cast.
Yes.
If we had to cast a movie.
Yeah, that would be fun. We should do that someday.
I agree.
Yeah, maybe at the end of the book.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the way you described the Grey King at first, the way you think he came up with his own name and he's basically creating rumors about himself, sounds the same way that we described Locke previously.
Oh. As
the Thorn of Camorr.
Yes, that's true.
So it's almost like they're counterparts with more murder.
Yes. Yeah, I think that sounds accurate to me.
There are a lot of guards all over the place. They get the warning to basically mind their P's and Q's when they're talking because Capa is so paranoid. Yeah. And everyone is really on edge. And they've got, said something like 40 guards?
Yeah. You know, here's the thing about guards that I always think, which is silly. I imagine these guards that are like family men. That, like, they do their shifts for the Capa, and then they go home, and the wife's like, how was your day? And I just imagine them all standing around there, you know, just for the paycheck, man. And then I feel bad when there are, like, fights and stuff, and they get seriously injured or murdered. I'm like, they're just trying to do their job. Mm-hmm. So, that was a little side note.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, there are many, many guards.
Locke is so careful about cultivating a very specific persona about himself.
Yeah.
To the Capa and everyone. I like the kind of mention about that. At one point it said, it never hurt to reinforce the impression that one was an active, responsible thief.
He's so smart.
He is. He's kind of like Sherlock.
He is kind of like Sherlock. Oh, now I'm going to picture him as Benedict Cumberbatch.
He's too old to play Locke.
Well, he is now. Because that's what I'm imagining.
That'd be weird if you compared the group, because then you have Jean, who I guess would be Watson.
I suppose.
He's got the glasses and the breeding. He's not a doctor, but... or a military man.
Yeah, that we know of.
This parallel is not convincing me.
Okay.
What if Sherlock had to find out who the Thorn of Camorr was? How long would it take him? I would watch that show.
I would watch that too.
That would be so exciting.
Yeah.
Now I want a detective in this book.
If you put a detective in this book, and Locke is the main character, the detective would be a moron. That's just how they write them.
Not always. Sometimes they have really good counterparts.
If you want your reader to root for Locke, you're going to have a detective that's not very good. And the detective could still be likable, just like in Sherlock. What's his name?
Lestrade.
Lestrade. I love Lestrade.
Yeah.
But he obviously, I mean, he's not, a face-off with Sherlock, but he needs Sherlock because he's not quick enough. I think you could have a likable detective in this book, but he wouldn't be able to be a real match for Locke.
The Lestrade in the show Elementary, which has Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu as Sherlock and Watson. He's a very different character. He is all about stealing the credit for all of Sherlock's.
Oh, interesting. I've never seen that
everything
show.
He figures out. I've seen a few seasons of it. It's a very different take on it. And sometimes pretty fun to watch.
Really?
But it's not quite as fun as Sherlock, I find.
Yeah, I'm not really that big of a Lucy Liu fan, so I've never watched it.
Oh, I like her.
Really? She's good in it?
Yeah, she's great. I don't like a lot of things that she's in, but I like watching her.
Well, maybe that's my problem. Maybe I've seen too many things that I didn't like her in because of the movie, not because of her.
Yeah. Like Kill Bill and all that. Just not my style.
Me neither.
But Charlie's Angels.
Oh, I love Charlie's Angels.
That movie was really... Well, okay, the first movie was really fun.
The first movie was, yes, very well done.
It was just the right amount of over the top.
Yes, it was.
Going on. But then they really jumped the shark after that, so I just couldn't keep going.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that.
I love that everyone is afraid of playing cards with the Sansa twins.
Yeah.
Won't even do it. Just even kind of hold their crossbows a little higher. Like it's physically dangerous.
And is it because they're very good, or is it because they cheat? Or is it because of both?
Probably both, I'm going to say.
Yeah. Because I can imagine that they are pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
They probably do what they need to do to tip it in their favor anyway.
I imagine they could probably do pretty well just with strategy, but they just cheat because it's fun.
Yes. That makes sense, yeah. Just like all these guys could have regular jobs, but they steal because it's fun and more lucrative.
Yeah, I think Locke would be pretty successful in anything he did.
Yeah, definitely.
Locke gets warned that something is going to happen with the Kappa by Nazca. She doesn't tell him what. Did you expect what was going to happen?
I did not.
What did you think it might be that the Kappa was going to ask?
Well, I actually wondered, but just at the very end when she started saying it would come from him better, I started to think, I wonder if he's going to try to put them together. I did, but not until right before they went in. I think that having her be the character that tells him that sort of gives that vibe. Like, I'm telling you this, and it's something about me. And really, what else could it be? I mean, I guess it could have been something else, but I couldn't think of anything else.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he was right to be apprehensive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And his knees were shaking a little bit at one point, too.
Yeah.
Also because of the torture, but because he really didn't know what else to do.
Yeah. Ugh. Luckily, he's very quick on his feet, as he's shown since he was, like, literally 5 years old. He doesn't have to stand around and think for a minute about what he's going to do. It comes to him pretty quick, and it's usually right. Yeah.
Well, and if he's not sure, he's just quiet, which is a great reflex.
Yes. Because a lot of people, I think, in those sorts of situations, they're trying to keep talking to fill silence because the silence is uncomfortable to them. They don't want the other person to think, and come up with something to do with them. So they'll just talk. But yeah, he's really good at knowing when to talk and when not to talk.
We got an interesting note about Kappa. We found out he had been a scholar at the Thorn Collegium, which gives him a very different background than I had thought.
Yes.
But it makes sense, because he obviously is intelligent and has made quite an interesting, little crime kingdom.
Yeah.
Not sure what else to call it. I feel like there's probably a better word than kingdom, but...
I'm going to go with mob. They're the mob.
He is. He is a good mob boss.
Yeah.
But he talks about how Locke is so smart for bringing different amounts of money, which is obviously very calculated on Locke's part. Because other people bring the same every week. But that seems like a really obvious thing to do if you're going to cheat someone.
Is to bring different amounts?
Why bring the exact same amount every week? That seems like a really easy tip-off.
Yeah, it does. Maybe they're just not smart enough.
Yeah, I think that
I mean,
is it.
And maybe Barsavi's just like, yeah, these guys are dumb. I'm just going to take what they bring me and leave it at that unless they do something else to make me mad. Because I just think they're just not bright enough to figure that out.
Which explains why he wants Locke to be able to be a kind of a counselor to his sons.
Right.
Who may not realize things like that, I guess.
Yeah.
That they're being cheated or...
Right. I mean, Barsavi's a smart guy. I mean, out of anybody that he would ask for help, Locke is a great choice. Mm-hmm. But then also on the other side of that, he's really showing a little bit of his hand that he's having a hard time teaching his sons to do things the way he's been doing them. So I don't know if it's because they're spoiled by him being their father and living a comfortable life, or if they're not as bright, or if they just let their sister kind of do stuff. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
We get back to the broken tower where they're apparently letting rooms there and all over the town to keep up appearances. Mm-hmm. I just imagine the twins using theirs as a little love nest to take their ladies when they get them, paid or not. But...
Yeah, I guess I don't understand why they can't all live at the temple or the burrow.
Well, people don't know it's there, and they had mentioned that people don't even know that they're still living at the temple at all.
But, when Father Chains was running it, when Locke showed up in the beginning, they had this facade of, cots and blankets and things like that. Why did they not carry on with that?
I think probably because Father Chains isn't there anymore. I mean, it sounds like they're still sitting the steps.
Right.
But people around town know that they're not just beggars. They know them as thieves. So they wouldn't expect them to live as beggars. Which are what the initiates live like, or the apprentices.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that kind of makes sense.
Because they're walking around town in normal clothes. And
it just seems like an unnecessary expense and just more trouble. But apparently it's working for them, so who am I to question it?
So they talk about canceling the con. Mm-hmm. I know you've said you think they should really just leave because Locke is in danger, it sounds like.
It does sound like that, yeah.
I enjoyed what he said. I'm no more likely to marry her than I am to be named Duke Nicavanti's heir tomorrow morning. Which immediately made me think he could probably pull off becoming Duke Nicavanti's heir.
I don't know why he couldn't.
If they did the right con.
Yeah. Maybe
Long
that's...
lost son.
Yeah, maybe that's the plan for the next one.
Yeah.
That would be a good one.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh god, Locke is the next Duke. That'd be terrible.
He would never want to do that, though, I think, because he has too much fun with his anonymity. Mm-hmm. He'd lose a lot of that.
Well, and I think that when he said he wouldn't want the power of a Kappa because he wouldn't want the problems of a Kappa, he was being honest.
Yes. Yeah, I think so. Because that does sound like a big pain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if the Grey King comes to town, you're the first target. And everyone you love.
Yeah, this is getting messy.
Yeah. So they decide to continue the con, but they do make preparations to leave on a moment's notice if they need to. Mm-hmm. Which made me feel a little better.
Yeah.
There's one point where Locke does talk to everyone, and he's convincing them they should continue on. Mm-hmm. And Buck says, I knew there was a reason I let you lead this gang. He's so adorable.
He is.
In the next episode, we're going to talk about Interlude 4, The Boy Who Cried for a Corpse. It's time for the top 3. Rosanna, what's your category?
This week, my category is things that made me say, ew.
There was a lot in this one.
There was a lot.
What were they?
So there's quite a bit to them, actually, because most of this chapter was pretty ew. The first one is the description that they gave when heading south on the canal. Mm-hmm. Some of the things that they said were the smell of old shit and new death. The smell of a keg of bad beer in a mortician's room on a hot day.
Oh, God.
And then the entire issue of all the dead horses.
Yeah.
It was so gross.
Not just dead horses, but they're actively being stripped.
Yeah,
of
they're
their
cutting
flesh.
them as they're just... Yeah, moving along. Just a bunch of dead horses. It's just so gross. And then the second one I had was on Vital's boat. First, the freshly killed rat, which I don't care why you think that's a good idea. That's gross. Just hang around on my boat. And then also...
I feel like that would attract things in the water to follow your boat.
You know what? Yes, it probably would.
Which would then increase your chance of capsizing, which is what it's supposed to protect against.
Yeah, they're not thinking these things through. Not as well.
I'm going to say the sharks came up with that superstition.
Maybe so. And then also during that scene where they talked about the death of Tall Tesso.
Oh my god.
That was pretty gross.
It was disgusting.
And in the end, they said pretty much he just bled to death, right?
Yeah,
So that's like a slow, pretty traumatic, painful kind of death. So that was ew, also.
I had such a hard time reading that.
Yeah. And then the best/worst part is Sage Kindness's bag o' broken glass.
Oh my god.
That was awful. It was so awful. And that he so obviously enjoys his work. He was just like massaging the glass into the face. What a horrible, horrible way to die.
Yeah.
I mean, horrible. Yeah, my top 3 this week were just a bunch of grossness. And I hope very much that next week my top 3 is a little lighter.
I can't imagine the Kappa thinking that anyone would watch the bag of glass part and then not immediately admit to absolutely anything they wanted him to say.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's disgusting, but it's, useful, I guess.
If I were the second man, I would be making up shit all over the place about what happened.
Yes.
Just to try to not have that fate.
Yeah, I don't know. Which is worse, the bag of glass or being eaten alive underwater? I just,
I don't know.
It's all bad. Yeah. So, yeah, really gross. This whole chapter just was a lot of grossness.
I found when I write things myself, I can write very gory scenes with no trouble, but then I can't actually read them later because I'm so disgusted by it. In part because it's disgusting, and also because I feel bad about myself for having an imagination that has come up with something so gruesome.
Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any predictions about what's going to happen next? Let's go with the Grey King. What do you think?
So, based on our discussion earlier about, if there were a detective that would be sort of like the, not villain, but, the person hunting down Locke or whatever, I think a better parallel character is actually going to be the Grey King. Okay. And I think it's because you pointed out that my description of him was so similar to what I thought about Locke. I think that they are better suited to face off than, Locke and the Kappa. I think that the Grey King and Locke maybe are going to have a confrontation or something. They seem like they're better matched, I guess. So maybe it's going to go that way.
Do you think Locke would remember what happened?
I guess it depends on what the stuff is. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking to me if Locke started to do some secret investigation about the Grey King now that he is worried about possibly being on his radar. And maybe figure out some sort of way to find out what he's using and then figure out a way to counter it or prevent it. Because we know about Locke that he plans everything. He tries to account for every single possibility. And if this character is starting to come up more and more and is obviously dangerous, it would make sense to me that Locke is trying to figure him out also.
I worry about that because he has his regular con going on already. And he adds on
plus his courting.
Yeah. he has a full plate.
Yeah, he's a busy guy.
He's got his con. He's got his engagement, basically.
Yeah.
Because pretty much they're already engaged without any courting happening.
And neither one of them is into it at all.
I'm happy that Nazca also knows about Sabbatha, to Locke's chagrin. Everyone knows about Sabbatha.
I'm also really glad that neither one of them wants this, because it would be super awkward if one of them did.
Yeah.
So it's good that they agree that this is not what they want.
I always appreciate an opposite sex platonic friendship.
Oh, me too. Definitely.
Somewhere. without the inevitable will they or won't they
Right.
feeling that you get in every show ever.
Yeah. I don't mind not having that be part of it, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Now it's time for Cheek of the Week, where we talk about something good that we like. My Cheek of the Week is a book series called The Old Kingdom. The first book is called Sabriel. Have you ever heard of it, Rosanna?
No.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, so it's kind of a fantasy series in the same vein as The Gentleman Bastards. It's about necromancers, basically.
Really?
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Tell me again what it's called.
Sabriel is the first book.
Sabriel. Okay.
Sabriel.
Okay. Is that a person's name?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a woman. It's the main character of the book. So they live in this place that makes it sound kind of European. Mm-hmm. And they live on one side of a wall. She does. She's in school. Her father comes to visit. It's a boarding school. And on the other side of the wall is the Old Kingdom, where magic still exists.
Ooh.
Yeah. And the regular world, the world we'd expect now, that sounds kind of World War II era with the technology that they have.
Huh.
And there are guards along the wall, basically to keep out dangerous magical creatures and bad people like necromancers. There is one necromancer that is not bad, technically, and they're kind of the approved necromancer of all the Old Kingdom.
Of course.
Yeah.
Approved.
Yeah, and they're called the Abhorsen. It's a hereditary position, and the current Abhorsen is Sabriel's father.
Okay.
And so he disappears. Some people have magic. The closer you get to the wall, the more, if you have magic, the more it's available to you. Mm-hmm. There's I think it's called a charter, where people kind of get their magic from, and if you can reach the charter, you can access magic.
Oh, that sounds very complicated.
Yeah, so there are some people on the non-supernatural side of the wall. Most people are further south of the wall, they don't even believe in magic at all, because it's been so long since the wall has been up.
Uh-huh.
But some people actually have access to this magic, and if they go very close to the wall, they can be guards and, add protection spells and things like that. And so the story is about the Abhorsen going missing, and Sabriel has to try and, save him and all this. But she is also a necromancer. Mm-hmm. And necromancers in this series can go into death, the world of death.
Oh.
It's very interesting. And there are different gates deeper and deeper into death.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds really good.
It is really good. They have these special bells, a little belt of 7 different bells, and they do different things, and they can help you control dead creatures, or send dead creatures to death, or bring dead creatures forth from death.
Ew.
It's really exciting what they can do.
Yeah.
But sometimes the bells kind of have a mind of their own, and they can send you into death as well.
Huh.
So it's very dangerous to be a necromancer. It's easy to lose control.
Yeah.
And so most necromancers are bad, and they want to stop them from, making armies of the dead, things like that, of course, as you would.
Of course.
But it's really fun to read. It's pretty thrilling in parts as well, all the different things you find out. And so the whole series has some different people in the Abhorsen line, not just Sabriel. Mm. So there's Sabriel, and there's another book. I can't remember what the second one is, but I think the third one's called Goldenhand. And then there's a prequel called Clariel that I haven't read that one quite yet, but it just came out pretty recently. But the series is really exciting. There's, there are love stories, of course, and but you get so much magic, and you get great female lead characters that are really fun to watch. Mm-hmm. But the whole into death thing is something I've never read in a series before.
No, I've never heard anything like that.
It's very original, and I really like it. So I recommend the Old Kingdom book series. It's by Garth Nix. What's your cheek of the week, Rosanna?
My cheek of the week is a pair of headphones.
Ah.
I have this pair of headphones that are from Amazon. They're called White Label Base 1, and they're Bluetooth headphones. And they're not earbuds. They're like real headphones that go over the top of your head. And for me, sometimes I really have to use those because I don't know if I have like weird shaped ear canals or what, but a lot of earbuds are uncomfortable to me. So I've found a couple that are okay, but mostly they're uncomfortable. So if I'm going to be listening to something for a long time, I like to use the over-the-head headphones. And these are really cool because they're Bluetooth, so I don't have to be attached to anything. They have a built-in mic, so you can take calls while you're using them.
Oh, nice.
And they fold closed.
Oh.
So, yeah, so they don't take up as much room. They're comfortable. The pair that I have are black because I'm really boring. But they do come in other colors. I know for sure you can get white also. But they're these really nice headphones, and they're only $40, which for nice Bluetooth headphones, I feel like that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, you can spend hundreds on headphones.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, Beats by Dre or whatever. Those are hundreds of, which is crazy to me. Or like, or like Bose headphones. I know those are really, really good too. But I can't afford to spend that much money on headphones, especially because there's a good chance I'm going to break them. So, but yeah, $40 to me seemed like a really good investment. They're super comfortable, and I can like walk around. The Bluetooth technology to me just like blows my mind. I guess it's because, when I was in high school, I didn't have a cell phone. So anything past that point is just like, ooh, technology. Yeah, I love having them. I love being able to walk around. I can do dishes, and not that I really do dishes much, but I could while wearing these. I make other people in my house
of dirty dishes.
No. That's why I had children, is to do the dishes.
I'm not sure you did a good cost-benefit analysis on that one.
Okay, that's true, because most of the dishes are theirs anyway. But yeah, keeps my hands free. I can listen to audiobooks, I can listen to podcasts, I can listen to music. And the biggest thing about them that I love so much besides the Bluetooth is they're comfortable. My ears aren't sore after, like sometimes with earbuds. Mm-hmm. Do you have that problem too?
Yeah, I can never seem to find any that fit quite right.
Yeah, and I've also found too that sometimes I need you know how they give you the pieces that go in your ear that change the size? Mm-hmm. I actually have to use 2 different sizes of those to fit comfortably in my ears, if I can get them to fit at all. So definitely over the head, outside the ear. I'm on board with that. These are really good. So listeners, you can find all of our Cheeks of the Week and links to the ones that we've talked about on our website, somethingcheekypodcast.com.
That's our episode. Please leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at SomeCheek.
And you can listen to our other podcasts where we talk about the TV series Vikings.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Dig-a-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.